Okay, so I'm super excited. We're in Indiana right now, and I am sitting here with Lisa Hoppy, who is one half of Happy Hoppy. They traveled around the world in 1 year and visited how many countries?
62.
62 countries in 1 year. So you definitely need to check out their YouTube channel if you love travel videos. Also, recently, they've taken on a whole new adventure in foster care, and they have been vlogging about it as well, their entire experience and how that's been going, and that's super interesting. We met at CARE and Nate's 100 Country Party. We both followed their YouTube channel and somehow ended up there together and connected over foster care. It's just, I don't know, God is just amazing how he perfectly places us where we need to be to meet the people we need to meet. I love it.
It's very cool.
It's so exciting. So I wanted to talk to Lisa about today. They have been foster parents for 2.5 years.
Yep.
Almost 2.5 years. They've had one placement. It was a long placement, and just recently reunified that placement with their family, which is super exciting, but it's also kind of been a little tough. And the way that they have walked this road and handled it has been an inspiration to me, and I wanted you guys to hear about it as well. Do you mind to just say, like, how you guys decided to get into foster care?
Yeah.
Like, what that looked like and how that happened?
So it all kind of goes back to 2016 when I got my infertility diagnosis. And I was like, Peter, I want to be a parent, like, right now. And so I had already kind of, we'd already thought about adoption. And at that point, that was, like, so out of our price range to even think about, because it is expensive to adopt. From 2017 to 2018 we traveled for a year, and then we bought this house, and then we became foster parents. When we first got into foster care, we're like, foster to adopt, and then as we started to do the classes and learn about it, it was really that heart of reunification that really got to Peter and I, and we're like, wow, we as Christians, as believers, we have had so many second chances that God has given us, and so this is extending it to people that sometimes you're like, well, they don't deserve that, or you don't know what they did to that child, and there are so many different cases that I've heard of since being a foster parent, and yet at the same time, God has created every single person, and he loves those bio parents. He loves those parents so much. And when you know just a little bit of the story of where they came from, a lot of times it's generational cycles. And so it's like, well, can we not break this cycle and, break the cycle so that way the kids don't have to continue that. And so you just have so much compassion when you learn a little bit about the parents' story.
So as with most placements, there was ups and downs. There were times of uncertainty on your part and on the biological family's part, and that sort of thing. But it was earlier this year, is that correct? Then it was solidified that the kids were going to get to go home.
Yes.
Which is all of the feelings.
Yes.
So how did that transition go? How did all that work?
When I first heard the news, I was like, I'm going to be in bed for days. And I said to my mom, I'm like, after the kids go home, I'm probably just gonna be in bed. And that's not what happened, because I realized that's ridiculous, Lisa. Pull yourself together.
I know.
They're not, it felt like a death. But once we finally knew, it actually, yes, it was difficult, but it was so nice to have a plan. It was 7 weeks from when we found out the news they were going home until when they went home. And so in those 7 weeks, we knew this day's gonna be visit, that day's gonna be visit, and then this is the go home date. And so we knew everything. And so in a way, it was just I went on autopilot. I was like, all right, just gonna, it was very difficult, but it also okay, I know what to expect today. So there was many times in foster care where I did not know what to expect. So at least I knew the plan. I think at some point the parents did definitely see us as a threat, and they because they didn't really know us. We didn't really have a lot of communication with the parents. And what I did was I would write a weekly note, because they had twice a week visits. So for the first visit that week, I would write a note saying like, this is what they are doing in school, this is their grades, these are the upcoming doctor's appointments. With the youngest, it was like, oh, he just started crawling this week, or, you know, oh, he is starting to talk now. And so I was able to just kind of write updates, because I was like, if I was in that situation, I would want to know. And it was frustrating because they wouldn't always respond, and we were seen as the enemy, and people closest to us said, like, or that knew the parents and knew us said, I don't think you're going to be able to have a relationship with them when the kids go back. And that's really because they just didn't know us, and we were viewed as the enemy. And then in those last 5 weeks, because that's when the unsupervised started, in those last 5 weeks, we would see them 6 to 8 times per week.
Wow.
And so
cool.
with that, we were starting to form like little connections.
Yeah.
And they were starting to see, oh, they're not like trying to take our kids. And we're like, we've been trying to tell you this, but like it's different when you're on the other end. And they were unsure. They were scared. But once they realized, no, we're on your team and we're here to support you, they have continued a relationship with us. They've been reaching out to us, and we've seen the kids a couple of times in person, took them to a day at the zoo, and I'm like, hey, and I told the parents, like, I want to be here for you, especially during this transitional period. Please utilize me. So it's been better than I ever expected.
So one of the things that I thought would be helpful is to just talk a little bit about the reunification like part and how you can, because obviously the purpose of foster care is reunification. That is the number one purpose. But that doesn't mean it's easy.
No, not at all.
And so what sorts of things did you do to kind of help you get through and keep your perspective on, you know, this is a good thing.
Yes.
It hurts, but it's good. What sorts of things did you do to help?
So the day after court, when we found out, we did that same day talk to the kids about what the plan was, so they knew. But that was on a Wednesday. That Thursday, I flew out to Pennsylvania to be at a foster mom conference. So that was super hard to leave in the midst of all that, but it was super good to just get away for a couple of days. I was pretty numb. I just like had this weird like shut off, you know? And then I came home from that conference and like it was good material. I cried a lot with people, which was good to be able to talk with other like women that like got it. And then I came home, and the next couple of days, like 3 or 4 days, I didn't get out of bed unless I needed to, like unless it was dinner time and I had to make dinner. But otherwise, if Peter was done with work, I let him watch the kids and I was just in bed. And I was like, oh snap, like I think this is just gonna, I didn't have the motivation to do anything. I'm like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And I was just very, very depressed. And my dad, he had asked me if I wanted to run the Indy Mini with him, which was coming up in May, which would have been after the kids had left. And I was like, no, like I don't run. Then I was like sitting in bed those couple days and I'm like, well, if I at least, when the kids go home, if I get out of bed and I like go run like 5 miles, like at least I like did something that day. So I signed up I was gonna actually do a training run to see how I liked it before I signed up, but I couldn't even get myself to go to the training run. So I just signed up and then I ran. And so we recently did that half marathon, and like that was very helpful because that happened like 5 weeks after they went home. And so I was able to train while we still had them at the end, but then after as well, and then run that race. And it was my way of saying like, I'm still gonna do hard things, and this isn't the end, and it is good. And so I did that, and then Peter and I actually, in the midst of those 7 weeks, when we knew they were going to home, we actually were gone for 11 days. We had planned a cruise because there wasn't supposed to be anything happening during that time. So we went away for our 10-year anniversary cruise. And I was doing a lot more things that I hadn't done before. So going out to coffee with friends and like, okay, so it's been good.
Well, thank you so much for letting us do this. Go check out Happy Hoppy. I'll link them in the description below. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, we're about to film a video for our channel. So if after you watch this one,
definitely
go over there and watch talking about fears of fostering.
Yes.
So go check that out.
Awesome. Thanks.
See you guys.